Cruise news time. Well, the lack of people working on a cruise ship, that problem, it struck again. We've got a cruise line canceling cruises of people already booked. Never good, but it's not all bad news. We got a really great story for the cruise restart. We've got some interesting stuff today, and I also want to talk about a group of people. Are they being discriminated against by the cruise lines? Are they being disadvantaged by the cruise lines? Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, let's go right to the cruise news. The first story I want to talk about, Norwegian Cruise Line has reached out to passengers that are already booked, on the NCL Pride of America, and they've straight up canceled their cruises around the Hawaiian Islands. Not all passengers, so that begs the question in the beginning, who got selected to be canceled, who didn't? But the reason given, crew shortages. Now, we've heard about Pride of America having trouble getting crew members. Just last month, they were talking about they were going to reduce capacity. They were going to close down some specialty restaurants. They did those things, and I guess it wasn't enough because now they've gone into the roles of people who are booked and canceled cruises to continue to reduce capacity. The company continues to champion the idea that they would rather sail with less passengers than decrease the level of service. So I think that's a good message to consumers. Unfortunately, for the people who got canceled, I don't think they probably resonate with that message. And the folks that got canceled will receive a 100% refund back to whatever payment method they used to pay for their cruise. They will also get a 100% future cruise credit, and they will get a $500 compensation if they have to change around their airline flights, like if there's penalty for changing around their air. So of course, NCL, the bearer of bad news, but at least they're doing everything that they can to lessen that blow. But it's a rough situation. Imagine if that was the only time you could take vacation this year. If you can't change any other plans to use your future cruise credit, at least you get your money back. So, I mean, that does soften the blow, but a tough call made by NCL. I like it. I like that they would defer to quality of service opposed to, just capacity. So that's a good thing, I think. Then we can't escape this story without talking about the Pride of America. Pride of America, the only U.S. flagged cruise ship, partially built in the United States. It's one of those cruise ships that's not limited by the Passenger Vessel Services Act or the Jones Act. And so they're U.S. staffed. And so that's a challenge, getting U.S. seafarers to go work on Pride of America. It's that's a pretty common thing going on in the U.S. right now. Many businesses looking for workers, and NCL not an exception to that. Cancellation day, huge bummer. Were you scheduled to go on the Pride of America around the Hawaiian Islands? Did you get canceled? Let us know in the comments. Cruise news story number 2. Another story related to cruise staffing, this time a little more of a positive story. Jamaica. Jamaica has been targeted to provide workers to cruise ships. Cruise Line's been working with the government there in Jamaica for a big recruitment program. The plan is to recruit 10,000 workers from Jamaica to go on cruise ships. That effort is just beginning, and so Cruise Line's trying to be creative, trying to go to places where there's already a lot of people from Jamaica working on cruise ships. The story screams to me that the cruise lines are exhausting all options to figure out where to get workers, and there's a lot of challenges when it comes to onboarding crew members. The U.S. visa process is a process that we've heard has been slowing down the work visa. A lot of people say, well, why do you have to get a U.S. work visa if these cruise ships are not flagged in the U.S.? Because the primary ports of embarkation and disembarkation are U.S. ports. Workers on cruise ships have to have U.S. work visas to even allow them to be in the port. That's a challenging thing that goes on with the U.S. laws. And so U.S. work visa is a big thing for these crew members, for cruise lines. But exciting opportunities for Jamaicans looking for work opportunities, and exciting opportunities for cruise lines trying to get staffed up. 10,000 people, that's a lot. Hopefully the cruise lines can convert some of those recruitment activities into actual workers on cruise ships. We'll continue to track along with it. Cruise news story number 3 relates to a story I talked about yesterday about a cruise ship that completely skipped Bermuda. Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas supposed to go to Bermuda, but because of Tropical Storm Alex, they completely changed their itinerary. They left Bermuda in their wake and went north to Canada. Well, now we have a Norwegian cruise ship that was in Bermuda. Their trip going to be cut short. The Norwegian Pearl left Boston, just made land land at Bermuda, only there in Bermuda for a few hours when, it just looks untenable. It looks like that cruise ship cannot stay in Bermuda, and so they're hightailing it out of there. The Norwegian Pearl left the island of Bermuda yesterday on Sunday, and I assume they're heading back to Boston. Are you on the Pearl? What's that like? Leave a comment below. Now, I've got 2 more cruise news stories, and I want to have a conversation about a group that potentially feels discriminated against or disadvantaged by the cruise line. But before we get there, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification. Look, that one's for the Loca fam, the third one there. If you're new here, this may seem odd to you, but look, we love that cruise life, and carousing is one of our things. And look, that's really what this part of the show is about. It's to invite you to be a part of the Loca fam, to be in the know, to be in the cool kids club, as it were. Are we cool? I don't know. We feel like we're cool when we're a group together, but join the Loca fam. And the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to the channel, to hit the notification bell. That way, every time that a show comes out, you're notified. You can be one of the first people to chime in on what's going on in this cruise life. It doesn't cost anything, and I promise to try to make it entertaining as much as I can. So please consider subscribing. Thank you in advance. All right, cruise news story number 4. We've got another trumpet blow. Dun, 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 as we have another major cruise line getting all of their ships back into service. This time it's MSC Cruises, and the Musica is back online. That means that the whole MSC fleet is now back in service. Again, these are milestones that are important. I know we got staffing issues. I know there's challenges when cruising starts, but actually getting these ships that have been mothballed for 2 years running again, chugging along, getting the maintenance done on them again, it's a big thing to have all these processes. Because you got to think about this. A cruise ship operation really is 24/7 by 365. There is continual work going on cruise ships, and just having skeleton crews on cruise ships with no passengers really prevents a lot of the things that need to be done on cruise ships. So it's a good thing that they're going again. MSC's got a lot of stuff going on. They're going to be releasing a kind of higher-end luxury brand. They just had, I believe, a steel cutting or a float out of one of the first ships there. I'll talk about that later. But they're not rebranding. They're not going to have like a second-tier brand. MSC just continues to push into cruise markets in Europe, continues to push into cruise markets in North America, really with the backing of one of the world's largest shipping companies, MSC Mediterranean Shipping Company. They're putting a lot of cash into the cruise business and putting more ships on the water. And so MSC, continue, they've been players for a few years now, but continue to watch them because I think you're going to see interesting things coming from MSC as time goes on. Congratulations, MSC, for getting back to service. That is awesome. Now, this last cruise news story deals with a group of people that may feel discriminated against or disadvantaged on the cruise ship. The reason that it comes to mind, of course, the cruise news story is one reason it comes to mind, but an interaction I had with a member of the Loca fam, somebody who watches the videos, on the Carnival Panorama. I met a couple there. It was really nice to meet them. And during this interaction, they mentioned that they were having trouble finding food, particularly for their vegetarian and vegan diet. And they mentioned they'd struggled a little bit in the buffet to find choices. They'd mentioned they'd struggled a little bit in the main dining room. One of the things is, though, I think they were maybe a first-time cruiser or something like that. So I did give them the advice to go work with the main dining room, like the maitre d', and let them know about their dietary requirements, and that oftentimes cruise lines will accommodate vegetarians, vegans, people with allergies, gluten, that kind of stuff. If you let them know in advance, they will work with you. And one cruise line's trying to streamline that process. But it's got me thinking. Look, I don't have food allergies. I don't really do any kind of special diet, so this is not something that I've run into. But you could see the look in their eye that it was something that was making their cruise experience a challenge. And I could imagine that. Could you imagine if you couldn't figure out what to eat on the cruise? You're surrounded by all this food, but none of it seemed to fit with what your dietary preferences or restrictions were. And so I wanted to bring that up. So first and foremost, for the community, I'm curious. Are you a vegan? Are you a vegetarian? Are you somebody with dietary restrictions? Have you had challenges on cruise ships? Now that I'm talking about it, it reminds me of a couple I met on, or a couple ladies that I met on Royal Caribbean that were kosher. And Royal Caribbean, they went way above and beyond to provide kosher meals, to demonstrate how their processing and food facilities were kosher. And so the reality is the cruise lines do go above and beyond for dietary restrictions, but I wanted to know what some of the tips and tricks basics for vegans or vegetarians or people for dietary restrictions. What do you do to make sure that you have the right food on the cruise? And then the cruise news story is that Carnival is automating this. The new software, the new technology being rolled out by Carnival is a piece of technology called Menu Mate. And Menu Mate can be used by the guests themselves, it can be used by the maitre d', it can be used by the waitstaff, it can be used by guest services. And basically it's a big database of all of the ingredients that go into all of the recipes on the cruise ship, a main dining room, those kind of things. And you can input what your food allergies are, what your dietary restrictions are, and it will spit out to you what you can eat. It will also help the kitchen prepare food to accommodate you. And the goal of this software is to eliminate some of those lines, some of those one-on-one working through the dietary restrictions, having to go and tell everybody your dietary restrictions. You'll be able to use this software to input that, and they'll be able to take the output of that software and make food for you. So I think that's a good advancement. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a workable solution? Again, if you're somebody with these dietary restrictions or food allergies, how's it been for you on a cruise ship? Leave a comment below. Boom! That is the show today. Time for you to sound off. I'd love to hear what you think about any and all of these things. When's your next cruise? Any of those things that you want to talk about. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I sure hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed being here. You can show your support by hitting the like button. And unfortunately, if you do not hit the like button, I will be forced to punish you. I am like Frank Castle. Anybody get that reference? But yeah, I'll be forced to punish you. And your punishment is this. If you do not hit the like button, you're going to have to wash 4 suitcases of clothes from your recent trip that you just now unpacked that smells like a casino in Las Vegas. You don't want those smelly clothes in your house. Trust me. So yeah, hit the like button and you can save us all some hassle. This is Tony for Lido, Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.